Hi mums and dads, I'm going to discuss handwriting in grade 1. Last term the children wrote most of their homework into their homework books, and at the front was a copy of the letter formations as well as the number formations. So this term we are going to be concentrating on handwriting specifically, and a new alphabet and numbers formation will be stuck in the front of their home handwriting books. So in grade 1, we look at letter formation with regards to that alphabet, and then we also look at the spacing of the letters, which is very important. So we do everything in 3 lines, and we use the example of a cat. So the cat's head is the top line, then the cat's tummy is the second line, and the cat's tail the last line. And this is how our letters are grouped. But because a cat like that takes a long time to draw, when your child has to have cats right the way down the page, I encourage them just to do the head, the tummy, and the tail. And this is done in the margin of the page. The reason why we do this is so that spacing of letters is correct. So we'll start with letters that have necks or heads. So an L, for example, would go in those 2 lines. Then we look at tummy letters, which are written in the tummy line, like an A. And then lastly, we look at letters with tails. So we look at a J, and that would be used in the tummy and the tail line. The reason why we do this is because in the later grades, when your children are writing in 1 line, then their spacing is correct. So for instance, if they write the word pink, it then would be written like this. There we're using that part would be your headline of your cat, this would be your tummy line, and this would be your tail line. If we don't do this to start off with, your children's writing goes all over the place, and they write like this, and eventually it's illegible. We don't know what's going on. So that when I refer to the cats, that is how it is done. In their phonics and homework book, they will be using lines, but they are much thinner, so they don't need to do the cats in that book. But the lines are divided into 3, and the last line is very dark, like this one, so that you'll have 1, 2, 3, and then a very dark line. That's how they'll use that. Then second lastly, we are allowed to make mistakes in grade 1. So if your child makes a mistake, rather don't use an eraser, or some of them even lick their finger and then try and rub it out like that, and it makes a big dirty mark. All that needs to happen is that it needs to be neatly, let's say they do the A and it goes like that. They just put a neat 1 line through it, not a scribble, 1 line, and then they form the letter correctly. Then lastly, we need to look at pencil grip. If your child is not using the correct pencil grip, when the workload escalates, their little hands get tired, and eventually their work pace is affected. So we always use these 2 fingers, which is called the pincer grip, and those are the 2 fingers that are working all the time, not the whole hand, not up to the elbow, because that is when the muscles get tired. So I think the easiest way to do it is to take something. I've used a folded up tissue. You can use a crayon or a bean or a sharpener or anything for these 3 fingers that should not be used with writing to hold that. So now they are holding that they cannot be used because their job is now to hold that. Put it in the pincer grip and then you write.